She lost 17 pounds, but that wasn't her biggest win, fam. I want to tell you about one of my clients, Rocio. Now, on paper, this may sound like a huge weight loss story, but it's really not. Because, yes, she did lose 17 pounds, but the biggest thing she changed had nothing to do with the number on the scale. Now, when she first started working with me, she weighed 165 pounds. And she told me something during our onboarding call that stood out to me. She actually had been avoiding the scale for months. She finally weighed herself that morning. And like a lot of people, she wasn't completely new to working out because she had been trying. She had been finding workouts online and Instagram and stuff like that, but there was a problem. Sometimes the workout required equipment that she didn't have. So she tried to substitute it with this or something else. Then she ended up doing as what she described as random exercises without knowing whether what she was doing even made sense. So she wasn't doing nothing. She was putting in effort. She just didn't have a clear system. And that is an important distinction because sometimes you don't need somebody to convince you to care about your own health. You already care, right? So you don't need another person telling you to just work harder. You're already trying. The problem is that everything you're doing feels disconnected. So we started putting structure around what she was already trying to accomplish: training, nutrition, progress tracking, adjustments, accountability. But eventually, I realized that there was something much deeper happening because during one of our coaching calls a couple of months later, I asked her, "What wins are we celebrating?" And the first thing she told me was,
I'm 17 pounds down since the beginning. I'm
"Mm."
almost at 20 down, so I'm really happy about it.
Now, at that point, she was almost 20 pounds down. She told me she had finally reached what she considered a healthy range on the BMI chart. Her belly was getting smaller. She was seeing more definition in her back. People were noticing the difference in her face. And some of her shirts didn't even fit anymore because they had gotten too big. So physically, yeah, she was changing. But then she said something that I thought was even more important.
I've been able to keep it consistent, even if for some reason I don't go one day, it doesn't keep me down.
That's the part I want you to pay attention to because she told me that previously, if she failed once, she could start feeling like she wasn't going to recover. One day missed could become, well, I messed up. And once you tell yourself you're already messed up, everything, what's the point of going tomorrow? Then tomorrow becomes another day, then another, and eventually you're saying, I'll start over again on Monday or next month or after the holidays or after work slows down. Rocio was learning how to stop doing that. She told me,
I
yeah,
still go the next day, so that's something that I've been working on, because sometimes you just fail once and then you feel that you are not going able to recover, or you fail once and then it's all done and you cannot do anything about it. But I've been working on that, and getting back on track, even if for some reason you couldn't do it. Well, today is another day and you can change
yeah.
things.
And then she said,
I've been working on that too, not sabotaging myself.
that is the story. Because losing weight is one thing. Learning how to stop turning one mistake into an excuse to quit, that is a skill you can use for the rest of your life. And later in our conversation, I learned why this matters so much to her. So she was talking about other things that she had attempted throughout her life. She told me that she had gone through the process of getting into 4 different university programs. She had taken tests, she had put effort into them too, but she hadn't finished any of them. And after experiencing that enough times, she had started asking herself questions like, maybe I'm just not consistent. Maybe discipline isn't something that's in me. Think about what happens when that becomes a story you tell yourself. Now you're not saying, I didn't finish this. You're saying, I'm somebody who doesn't finish things. Those are completely different statements. One describes something that happened, the other becomes your identity. And that's why what was happening with Rocio's fitness journey became bigger than just fitness, because now she finally had a project where she was putting in the work, sticking with it, seeing measurable progress, and proving to herself that the story she had been telling herself might not actually be true. She told me something during that conversation that I love too, fam. She said,
I'm gonna be my own project. That's how I started seeing myself. Like I'm gonna be
yeah,
my own project. I
did
don't
this.
have kids, I just have a dog. So as my own project, that's why I started, like I looked for help. Like, okay, you need help. You need somebody to tell you how to do this and how to achieve that. And if you wanna do it, you will have to go through this. And that's
So
why I started here.
that's powerful, because instead of constantly looking at herself as the person who hadn't finished those other things, she started looking at herself as something worth investing in, something worth building. And later she explained what she had learned about missing days. She said,
If I miss one day, I'm not gonna gain 20 pounds for not going one day. All that work that I've been doing is not gonna fade away just because I failed once or twice.
there it is. That's the lesson. One missed day does not erase your progress. One bad meal doesn't erase your progress. One bad week doesn't erase your progress. One vacation doesn't erase your progress. What hurts you is when you take one imperfect moment and use it as evidence that you should stop completely. She stopped doing that. And because she stopped doing that, she became more consistent.
But I really like the way that I'm looking now. I like the definition in my back.
Yeah.
My belly is getting smaller. Sometimes I can even feel like my my ribs hurting. And that's a nice feeling. Yeah, I had to change like the shirts because those don't fit me anymore.
Oh, they got too big.
Yeah.
See, that's what happens. Now, because she became more consistent, she started seeing physical results. And because she was starting to see herself follow through, the way that she looked at herself started changing. She even told me that this process had changed the way she viewed what she was doing and what she was capable of doing. And she specifically mentioned her self esteem. That's why I said this isn't really a story about losing 17 pounds. The 17 pounds are evidence, yes. The smaller stomach is evidence, yes. The shirts getting too big, those are all evidence, yeah. The definition in her back, all of that stuff is evidence. But the transformation was, maybe I actually am somebody who can follow through. And if you're watching this right now and you're starting and stopping, I want you to understand something. You do not have to be perfect to become consistent. Consistency does not mean I never miss. Consistency means when I miss, I come back. That's it. Because the person who works out for 4 days, misses Wednesday, and comes back on Thursday, is doing a lot better than the person who misses Wednesday and disappears for 3 months and, stop making one bad decision responsible for the next 50, fam. You haven't ruined anything. Go back to the next meal. Go back to the next workout. Go back to the next decision. Because eventually you're not just changing your body, you're going to start collecting evidence that you can trust yourself again. And that's exactly what she did.
To be honest, I put a lot of effort in a lot of things that didn't work out. So I thought I never in put effort in something or in a project that succeed until now with my body and with myself. So it is nice. It is just really nice.
No.
And
Wow.
that's have changed up like my ways of view things and what I'm able or not to do. And of course my self-esteem.
She became her own project, and 17 pounds was just some of the evidence. Now, if you're tired of starting over and you want a personalized plan, structure, and accountability to help you actually follow through, there's an application for my coaching below this video.